Hello, everybody. Welcome to GM Sports Report, your weekly podcast on all things sports where every play counts. I'm Grant, and I'm here with my co host Mason as we get ready to cover the latest news, headlines, and upcoming events going on in the sports world. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to see all things GM Sports Report. Mason, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good, Grant. How are you doing?
Doing good. We got a lot to get into. The Super Bowl has been played, so we're going to have a little discussion about that. And then there's some NBA stuff we got to go over. So we'll go ahead and get started. And we'll start out with our hot take of the week. So, Mason, what is your hot take for this week?
My hot take is I think this kind of goes a little bit into the discussion as well. I think Drake May needs a lot more criticism. Everyone which don't get me wrong, he was on his back the whole time, but I think when he did have clean enough pockets and he was able to, put the ball where he should have had it, he couldn't get it there. So I saw a stat saying that since 2000, for a quarterback to start in 3 playoff games or more, he has had the worst numbers ever. So I think he had like 7 fumbles and 3 interceptions or something crazy like that, under or around 50% completion, and did not go over 100 passer rating except for the Super Bowl, and that was just because of the stat padding towards the end of the game. So I think he had a atrocious performance in the playoffs in general, and I think he should be criticized a little more about it.
Yeah, I agree 100%. My hot take of the week also has to do with the Patriots. It's just we were right all along about the Patriots. We've been talking about it for months now. You especially, just saying that we don't think they're a legit team. Their schedule has looked easy, especially in the playoffs, and they finally played a real team in the Seahawks, and they got absolutely destroyed on both sides of the ball. So
Hmm.
I really think that it's fair to say now that we were right. And that is a hot take of it in its own because a lot of people don't think we're right when we talk about sports. But
Yeah,
yeah, the Patriots were overrated after all. You can't convince me otherwise. And until they start beating some real teams, I'm going to continue to think that. That's my hot take.
I agree. I agree.
All right. Now we'll go ahead and slide over to our underdog of the week. So, Mason, who is your underdog for this week?
So I can go a few different directions here. There's one where it's kind of like the clear and obvious. I think you could say he got snubbed of the Super Bowl MVP, and that's Jason Myers, the kicker of the Seahawks. He had the only points I think going into the third quarter, so he was really able to. He had 5 field goals. I think that's a Super Bowl record, and so that's one way to go about it. The other way, I don't really have too much information on it. I just know how good of a feat it's been, and that is Miami, Ohio college basketball being the only undefeated team left. And
Mhm.
just huge shout out to them. Arizona got knocked off last night, I believe. And yeah, the college basketball world's been pretty exciting, amping up into March Madness. So I definitely like to talk a little bit more about it leading up into it. But yeah, that's another underdog for me.
All right, I like it. For my underdog, I'm going completely different route here. It's something
Okay.
we've rarely ever talked about. I love the Olympics when the Olympics are going on. Like I'm always watching. I just find them so interesting. So I went with one that's Olympics related, and she herself is not an underdog at all. She's actually one of the best skiers, like of all time.
Hmm.
But for this
Yeah.
Olympic specifically, she, was dealing with a lot, and that's Lindsey Vaughn, who last week tore her ACL and was still deciding to compete, but unfortunately she wiped out and broke her leg, and is not going to be able to compete anymore for the Olympics. But just to see her try to persevere through the torn ACL and giving it her all, I feel like that's very commendable. She's won 3 gold medals already. This is probably one of, if not her last Olympics. So just see her go out there and at least try. I think it's very commendable and deserving of underdog of the week.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we were kind of like talking about it just a little bit, through Snap or for Instagram or TikTok or whatever. And just for her to be 41 and dealing with that kind of injury, it's like, okay, that's a very big risk. But like you mentioned, it's probably the last time she's gonna be able to do something like this. And for her to go out that way, it's really sad. But her message saying that, she wouldn't trade it or do it any other way. She was on the top of that slope, and she said that she'll remember that feeling for the rest of her life. So
Yeah.
Yeah, huge shout out to her.
Yeah, those athletes in the Olympics, they're just like a different breed of athlete.
It's
It's
insane.
crazy, their mindsets and stuff like that. Um,
Yep.
all right, now we're gonna go ahead and slide over to the NFL because the Super Bowl has been played. The NFL season is now over. So it's time to have our Super Bowl discussion. Mason, what were your thoughts on this game as a whole? Did you enjoy the game? Just let me know what you're thinking on it.
Yeah, so I think the amount of hate that this Super Bowl is getting is absolutely ridiculous. Everyone's saying that it's one of the worst Super Bowls we've seen. Sure, that they didn't put up 50 points each or anything like that, but it was a dogfight through and through, and you can tell who was dominating at the line of scrimmage from the very first snap to the very, I wouldn't say last snap because it definitely took their foot off the gas a little bit, but that Seahawks defense, they were exactly what we expected them to be. And the Patriots defense was very good as well in the first half. You know, they were holding their own. And I was telling my dad, being on the Patriots defense, I would be like, I wouldn't say I'd be screaming at the offensive players, but like I'd just be expecting so much more. You know, of
Mhm.
seeing what they've done throughout the regular season, and even just the playoffs with how little, I guess, grant I give them. So, just them being absolutely shut out the whole first half and just not playing good ball. It's frustrating because then you get a guy like Christian Gonzalez who had probably the best game of his career and two pass deflections on two targets, and he played almost every snap. So dealing with him dealing injuries and stuff as well. So they just got beat, straight up beat. And towards the end of the game, I really thought that they had a chance to get something going. It's like, oh man, we've seen this before, 28-3 Seahawks with the Patriots. And then Drake May throws one of the worst balls I've seen. And like Chris Collinsworth, he's like, I don't even know what to say there. And that's one of
And
the
that's how you
many
know it's
times, or
bad.
one of the few times, yeah, or he's left speechless. He's like, maybe it got tipped. And Mike Tirico's like, no, no, it didn't. So it's just horrible. Triple coverage, just throwing it up. And it wasn't a clean game for the Seahawks as well, though. They had their struggles, like I mentioned, towards the back half of the game. And Kenneth Walker really keeping them alive as well as Jason Myers. So yeah, I thought it was very entertaining in I guess my world. I know I guess casual or average fans wanted more, but it's that's what happens when you're going for a title. It's like what we see in the UFC title fights. They're not going to come out going for it on fourth down every drive. They got to feel it out and see what's going on. So yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, I agree. I actually really enjoyed this Super Bowl. Just seeing both the defenses in the beginning of that game when it was
Yeah.
like still close. It was very interested to kind of see the chess match going on between those two teams.
Yep.
Because like you said, before it started getting out of hand, like but it was both teams' game. Like it could have gone
Hmm.
either way. And like you were saying, if I was the Patriots defense, I would have been fuming as well with that offense because man, the Patriots offense was just absolutely brutal. I mean, until the end of the game, they were really on pace to put up probably the worst Super Bowl performance an offense can put out
Yeah.
there.
Getting shut out.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it was just absolutely terrible to watch. And like Christian Gonzalez had a absolutely fantastic game. I know we were talking about that. And they were really doing a good job of stopping Jackson Smith and Jigba. Cooper
Yeah,
Cup
they
was their
were.
leading receiver with 6 receptions for 61 yards, which I actually did say that last week. I could see him being a
Hmm.
secret weapon, and that's exactly what happened. Um, and Kenneth Walker, obviously, the run game was their ultimate way to victory. He had a fantastic game with the 27 carries for 135 yards. And then Jason Myers, who a lot of people think should have won MVP, but I just don't think you'll ever see a kicker win MVP in the Super Bowl.
No,
5 for
probably not.
5 on field goals with 17 points total. So, yeah, just a really good Super Bowl, a chess match in the beginning. And then once the Seahawks got comfortable, it was kind of, just all of them for the rest of the game. Um, yeah, I really enjoyed it. I didn't have too many issues with it personally, but I
Mm-mm.
know that a lot of people are probably just expecting fireworks because the Seahawks have kind of been this dominant offense all year long, and the Patriots have had their moments in the regular season and in some of these playoff games. So I think when fans don't see that happen, they just automatically say it's a bad game. But there's two sides of the
Right.
football, so
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of where I stand with that. And then honestly, for a couple weeks now, you and me have been hitting the nail on the head saying, like, if you want to beat this Patriots team, all you have to do is just not turn the ball over and game
Mm-hmm.
manage and just play a good enough
Yep.
game to get points on the board, whether it's field goals or touchdowns. Just get points on the board and trust your defense. Don't turn the ball over. And that's
And they did
exactly
it.
what the Seahawks
Yep.
did. And now they're Super Bowl champions. So yeah, that's kind of just what I got to say about that.
I have a question. So if Bo Nix didn't get hurt, I think they obviously make the Super Bowl. But could you see them winning?
That Broncos defense is legit, but so is the Patriots defense too. So it's
I
kind of
know.
hard to think about. I mean, the way
It
that
it
Seahawks
comes down to
defense
offense at
played,
that point.
yeah,
Yeah.
I definitely think it would have been a closer game, but
Mm-hmm.
I still think the Seahawks would have won.
Right. I completely agree. I do think it would have been a closer game, and I think that if the Broncos were healthy and they had all their running backs and were able to kind of get stuff going, I think it would have been more entertaining for, I guess, some people.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think the last thing I'd like to mention is I don't know if I've ever seen uh, a quarterback get as many opportunities as Drake May has had and not be able to capitalize on it. Again, like I mentioned, offensive line was absolutely horrible. Even Will Campbell is still being defended by a lot of Patriots fans. So, um, I think we mentioned it last week on the Super Bowl, I guess, part of it, saying that they just didn't have enough guys. They didn't have the guys to be able to overcome those issues that they'd face. And that's exactly what happened. So, yeah, I'm that's kind of the last thing I'll mention on that.
Yeah, it's very rare. I'm glad we're indulgent in this because it's very rare that we kind of hit the nail on the head perfectly, and I feel like
I
we really
know.
have
I'm
the last
taking
couple
advantage of it.
weeks. Yeah, I
Yeah.
know it's kind of nice for once. But yeah, I think that this season as a whole was just a fantastic NFL season. A lot of ups and downs for a lot of teams, a lot of new breakout stars, just a lot of storylines that I'm sure we'll be getting into over the next few weeks because obviously with the Super Bowl being over, we'll be able to kind of take a step back and look at the season as a whole. But
Yeah.
just a very fun season, and I thought a fun Super Bowl because let's be real, no one going into this year would have thought it would have been Seahawks Patriots playing in the Super
No,
Bowl.
not at all.
All right. Well, now we're going to go ahead and slide over to the NBA because there's honestly a lot of topics to talk about. We got the trade deadline to go over. The All Star game or All Star weekend is coming up this weekend. And then we'll just start by doing our player and team of the week. So, Mason, who is your player of the week?
So I wasn't able to see who won the awards. Just been slammed with like school and stuff. But someone who I think has really flown under the radar is Asar Thompson. I think
Mm.
his, I guess, development just in this this Detroit team and how well that they've been playing, I think has been absolutely amazing. He's been exactly what you needed him to be. Um, I saw firsthand the other night where Detroit played New York, and he just absolutely shut down Red Hot Jalen Brunson, who their team has been absolutely balling. And just for them to absolutely have their way with big time scores like that, I think Asar needs to be talked about a lot more. So he's my NBA player of the week.
Yeah, I like that. I think the Thompson brothers in general are very underrated basketball players. I think
Yeah.
Amen gets more of the recognition because he's in a spot where he can kind of be the star player a
Hmm.
little bit more. But Asar is just as good on the defensive end as Amen is. Amen's a little bit better offensively, but they're both so
Yeah.
young. They have a lot of time to work on their offensive game. Having the defense is what really at the end of the day, if you're starting in the NBA with amazing defense, you have a lot to be able to develop. So it's going to be
Yeah.
interesting to see what those two players can do in their future. For my players, I'll go with two players. Stephon Castle, who had a fantastic week,
Yes.
24, 7-7, and he had that
Yeah.
40-point triple double. So that's worth shouting out. I'm a big Stephon Castle guy. I was a huge fan of his
Yeah. Me
when he
too.
came into the league last season. So happy to see him balling out. And then another guy that I've just got really fond of over this season, Jalen Johnson, who averaged a 27-point triple-double this last week, 27, 12, and 11. He's really just crushing it this year. I mean, I said it before the Trae Young trade happened. I thought that the Hawks needed to go all in on building around him and shipping off Trae Young, and that's exactly what they did. And I don't think they'll regret that at the end of the day, because I really think that Jalen Johnson is the future face of this franchise. So that's my other
Hmm.
player of the week. Now we'll go ahead and get into team of the week. Who is your team for the week?
I have two. Well, I really have three, but I think I'm just gonna save one for another topic we're gonna go over. So I'm gonna go with the Hornets, who are 9-1 in their last 10, and the Knicks are also 9-1 in their last 10. So I think the Hornets have a really, really something good going. We've talked about them a good amount on the spot throughout the season, and I think they're just an exciting young team, and they have very young talent who, like I just said, can really do something good in this league. You know, Kneppel, he's been up there in the Rookie of the Year talk. So I think if him and some of the guys on that team can get gelling and get going, I think it could be very interesting throughout the future of their, I guess, franchise.
Yeah, I really liked watching what Charlotte's done over the last really month. They've been one of the best teams in basketball,
Hmm.
which a lot of people weren't expecting. They had shown flashes throughout the season of how good they could be, but they still are a young team at heart, so they lose a lot of games. But they are now in that last play-in spot at number 10 in the East right now, and that would be quite the storyline if they end up making it into the playoffs. As we see how weak this East is kind of anyone's game in there. But yeah, really like their future of LaMelo Ball, Khan, and Brandon Miller. And then they also traded for Kobe White at the deadline. So I'm interested to see what that looks like when he gets into the mix, because I still think he's a very talented offensive player. So yeah, I agree with that team of the week. I'll go with the Cleveland Cavaliers, who are also a pick of mine
Yeah,
for a topic we're going to get
yeah,
into. So I'll keep it
yeah.
short
That's
and
fun.
simple. They're 9-1 in their last 10. And with that being said, we'll go ahead and slide over to our next topic, which is who is the winner of the NBA trade deadline?
I mean, I think it's just Cleveland. They got exactly what they needed, especially with how they've been playing in the past few seasons. They weren't able to get over the hump in the playoffs. They weren't able to get to the conference finals that everyone was expecting them to be, if not more. They go out and get a guy like James Harden. I was honestly not too sure how immediate of an impact he'd have, and he's had probably the biggest and best impact he could have had, coming straight onto the team. So yeah, they've been doing exactly what I think they've needed to done the past few seasons.
Yeah, I also am going with Cleveland. I think that they made the ultimate win now choice by trading for a guy like James Harden. And it's a risk, trading away Darius Garland, because he's still young and he still can develop into something big.
Yeah.
But I think we've seen him in the last couple playoff runs really struggle. So go out and get a guy like James Harden, who's a veteran that is having a fantastic season this year. Um, I think that's just such a great move for them to make, and it really, in the first two games, it's looked like it's paid off, because they've looked dominant in their first two games. Last night, James Harden hit in the game tying three, and then Donovan Mitchell hit in the game winner the next possession. I mean, that's just a really good duo. And in this weak East, it's anyone's game. I can really see them making some noise now. And honestly, if this works out, I could see them winning the East personally. But also,
Yeah.
two other teams I wanted to shout out. The Washington Wizards had a good deadline getting Anthony Davis for a bag of chips. He is going to be shut down for this season, as well as Trae Young will probably be. But you take a look at Washington's future; it's kind of bright now. You got the great young players in Kaishan George and Alex Sarr and Koulibaly. Those are really good young players. And then you add in the veterans of Trae Young and Anthony Davis next season. And then on top of that, you're probably getting a top 5 pick this year from tanking still, because they're still going to tank and get a high draft pick. And if you can get like a Drew Peterson in this draft or something, now you're really starting to cook. So I really like what Washington's doing. And then one final team, the Utah Jazz, making one of the more random trades, but I think it'll help them out, getting Jaren Jackson Jr., a player that not a lot of people were expecting to get traded at the deadline, but that really makes this Utah Jazz starting lineup interested with Keontae George. Now you got Jaren Jackson, Lauri Markkanen, Yusuf Nurkic, Ace Bailey, who's a 19-year-old. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Utah does as well in the future. So those are kind of my winners. And now we'll go ahead and get into the losers of the deadline.
So I'm just gonna go off of what I really heard through around the deadline, and I think it's the Warriors. I honestly expected them to do something a little more, especially being in the position that they are. They are in that play-in spot at the eighth seed, and obviously Jimmy going down. That's something huge that you obviously don't expect. And all you have now is Draymond. What's left of Draymond, and then Steph Curry. So I'm not too sure what to expect from there, but I definitely expected them to make a couple moves to still at least produce something this season.
Yeah, I was very confused by the Warriors trade deadline because they did make a trade for Kristaps Porzingis, but Kristaps Porzingis never plays anymore. The dude is
Right.
like, you can't count on him this season to do anything towards winning. He doesn't play. And not only are you trading Kristaps Porzingis, you traded the number one piece in any trade package you have in the future to go get a star. You traded that piece away in Jonathan Kaminga. So now if
Hmm.
Giannis does become available in the offseason, you're immediately out of the run-in because Jonathan Kaminga is now out of that package that you had, and that was your best piece in a package. So they're really handcuffing themselves now. And I was also very surprised by their deadline. But when I look at the losers at the deadline, there is just one team that like glares so louder than other teams, and that is the Miami Heat. The only team in the Eastern
Yeah,
Conference
I
to
was
not
gonna
make a
say it.
trade. Yeah, the only team in the Eastern Conference to not make a trade. And I'm not mad at them not getting Giannis. I know that they were all in on Giannis. I know it's been reported they offered everyone except Bam Adebayo. They said, look, you can pick your bunch out of any of these players except Bam if you want Giannis. So on as far as the Giannis side of things, I am more upset with the Bucks and upset with Giannis as a whole because I think Giannis backed out. I think the Bucks backed out. But to not have a backup plan when there's rumors of like a Ja Morant being available for very cheap, or you see Anthony Davis get traded for a bag of chips, to not have like any backup plan whatsoever, where it's like, okay, if we can't get Giannis, let's pivot and go do this. That's the part I'm frustrated with. I'm not frustrated with them not getting Giannis. I know that they gave it their all there, but we had about a 5 to 6 hour span where we knew Giannis wasn't getting traded, and you're telling me you couldn't pivot and have a plan B or a plan C or a plan D to be able to go make some type of trade. At least you could have at least traded Terry Rozier's expiring contract that has $36 million on the books and get like a second round pick off of it or something. But they decided to not even do that. So it's really baffling to see this team just fumble at the trade deadline year after year. It's really got to be studied with how bad of a front office they've been at the deadline.
Yeah.
All right. Now we got the All-Star weekend coming up, and we have the new format, which is going to be, I guess, a bracket, and it's going to be 2 USA teams and a world team. So there's the USA Stars, the USA Stripes, and the world team. And yeah, I'll read you off the rosters if you want, and we can kind of just go off of what roster we think is the
I,
best.
yeah, I have a setup too, but you can still read it.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. If you got it set up, who do you think's going to win this
Hmm.
then?
I think the world's gonna win everything, but I think the best USA team is probably what is that? The Stars team, the one with Curry on it.
The
I think.
Stripes has Curry on it.
Oh, what the heck? Okay. Okay, yeah. Well, the Curry team I think will be the better USA team. And then the Ant team, I don't know. I think that they're good, but I just don't think that they're as good. I think they have pieces where it's like Maxi, Ant, Cunningham, you have Scotty Barnes, Booker, and then the other guys, they're good like Chet and then Duran, but I feel like everyone on the Curry team is just probably substantially better as a team at least.
Yeah, I think I agree with you on the USA side of things. I think that USA Stars team is a little mid. They do got some good young players, so maybe since they have a younger
Right.
team, they'll go out there and try harder than like the
Mhm.
Stripes team that might have the more veteran guys that are like, oh, we don't really care about this that much. And also, Steph Curry, as of last night, is not going to be playing in this All-Star game. And actually, it just got announced like 5 minutes ago after we started recording that Brandon Ingram will be replacing Steph Curry. A lot of people thought that Brandon Ingram should have made it to the All-Star game, but I still think that USA team is better. But you look at the world, and it's like even with SGA not playing and potentially Luka not playing, it's still, and Giannis is out too, but you still have Deni Avdija, Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray, Pascal Siakam, Karl Anthony Towns, Victor Wembanyama. I mean, that's a squad. And I think that this world team is going to want to go out there and win. Wemby strikes me as the type that's going to try really hard in a format like this. So does Deni Avdija, who's a first-time All-Star. Nikola Jokic is another guy that we just know is one of the best players in the league. So I really think this world team is better than both the USA teams. I am interested to see this new format because I really do want to see it become more competitive. I know we joke about it every year. It's like it gets more and more as a joke, like with these games, but I really hope this does bring some type of competitive edge. And it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. Every player is dropping like flies, it seems like, with all these injuries. It seems like there's a new player every day getting replaced, but yeah, we'll see what happens. But I also have world winning the All-Star weekend.
As long as it's not like the Pro Bowl, I think we'll be okay. That is the worst All-Star game in the Big Four, or the three that we talk about.
Yeah, look, I mean, I get that you don't want to get injured and that you're trying to play for playoffs and stuff like that, but you can play with a little bit of intensity. I mean, we see these guys in the offseason playing pickup games, full speed, flying around, and you're telling me you can't just give a little bit of effort in the All-Star game. I'm not saying go full speed, but let's just play some defense here and there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Also, one final thing to talk about that I thought. Oh, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say the only thing I'm concerned about as far as trying is if the star or the stripes team doesn't try. I think that they'll be in for it because they have a lot of older guys on that team. So
yeah, for sure. And then one final thing that I thought was interesting about All-Star Weekend. I don't know if you happen to see this, but in the 3-point contest, Damian Lillard is going to be participating, who is on a partially torn Achilles. What are your thoughts on this? Like, if I was a Blazers fan, I'd be a little drawn aback by that. I think it's kind of a weird choice.
I don't know, because I saw it at first on like a TikTok. Someone was doing like a skit or something saying, Dame was playing, and I'm like, yeah, that'd be weird, but it actually happening, I think it's kind of crazy. I don't think it should be blown too far out of proportion just because of how much movement involves compared to actually playing in a game. So that's, I guess, the only thing I have, but I don't have too many negatives other than how bad, I guess, it'll be portrayed from fans and NBA fans in general.
Yeah, I guess I'm not really mad at Damian Lillard participating. I think I'm more mad that the NBA couldn't find a single player that's actually been playing games this season that would be willing to participate in the 3-point contest. Like the fact that we're just giving it to a guy that hasn't played a single game and is on an injury still. I just think that's kind of a weird choice. But if Dame did come out and was like, hey, I want to go do this, then I guess like you're not going to say no to Dame. But I don't know. It's just a weird situation. I mean, it's also like the dunk contest where Mac McClung, who's barely played any NBA minutes, has been at the last year. This is the first year he's not in it.
I wish he would have seen those names.
Hey.
I don't know a single person.
I'm going to go ahead and put it out there.
Yeah,
this is biased,
I saw Heat
but
guy.
Keyshawn Johnson. Keyshawn Johnson will win the dunk contest. That dude is a freak athlete. I've seen it firsthand. I think he's going to pull out some crazy stuff. I see him doing it in warm-ups all the time. So Keyshawn Johnson is going to be the dunk contest winner. If there's any gamblers out there, go bet your mortgage on it.
It's going to be a Jericho Sims 2.0.
Also, I just want to throw that out there. Don't gamble. It's very bad. And don't take what I said seriously because I can't be, in charge of your mortgage.
He's liable. He's liable.
No, I'm not liable for any betting decisions like Keyshawn Johnson.
All 20 of you.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's pretty much going to wrap up this episode. So thank you guys for tuning in to this week's episode of GM Sports Report, where every play counts. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to be able to see our weekly episodes on all things sports. For additional content, check the description to see links to our Instagram and TikTok account. This is Grant and Mason. Sign off for now. Have a great week, everybody.
Thank you, guys.